Christian or you Christ-like? I don't really bang with the Christians too much.
Yeah, man. A lot of people put on a little tag before they put on what they are, whether they be, black or whatever it may be, and they put on their richness, their religion, and some people even put on their job or their profession before they're black. Some people put on being a comedian before they're black, and we're gonna get into it tonight. But thank y'all for joining us. If you're here with us, we will be chatting about Kevin Hart's response to the backlash from his roast. The George Floyd joke, Charlie Kirk joke, and whatnot. But primarily the George Floyd joke. Black people don't really care about Charlie Kirk. Let's be real. We care about the George Floyd joke. But we'll get into all that tonight. Chris, how you feeling? How you been doing, bro?
I'm all right, man. I'm gonna be honest, man. I just got a text message sent to your phone to reset our password. But other than that,
Wow.
I've been for Instagram. But other than that, I've been chilling, man. Me and the family went to West Palm Beach for Memorial Day,
Okay.
and we're recovering. Today was supposed to be the first day that we kind of like, we got back, sent the kids to school. It was just gonna be like a, you know, uh, re- re- revigorating day. But unfortunately, when I took my oldest to school, he didn't have shoes, so he
Oh,
couldn't go. So he couldn't go to school. So I
what?
took
He didn't. His
the
shoes don't fit. He grew out.
huh?
He grew out of
No,
shoes.
nigga, I just threw the nigga in the car with no shoes on. I was just between making breakfast, brushing teeth, fixing clothes, fixing lunch bag. I ushered this nigga into the car with no shoes, drove 20 minutes to the
Wow.
school, got to get this nigga out the car. They calling the teacher to come get him. I just waved them off and got back in the car and drove off. I ain't had no shoes for the nigga. So my day has been thrown off since 8:37 this morning, my nigga. I've been just
That's one
in
of
the
them days, bro.
in the scramble mode, nigga.
Listen,
But
man, but
I
I'm
do want
glad.
to say, I do
Oh,
want
go
to
ahead.
say that we no. I do want to say that I was listening to Sauce Walker. Shout out to Sauce. He put out Ghetto Gospel 4. And if you know anything about Sauce Walker and his Ghetto Gospel kind of collection, the raps, it's one of his most introspective, kind of thought provoking songs that he puts out. And in that song, he was talking about how his daughter's 10 and she's nonverbal, and how like that just really like it fucks with him, going with everything else that he got going on, dad in the hospital, him taking care of, his label mates, deaf kids, you know what I'm saying? Because they not around, like the responsibility of what it perceives to be, quote unquote, a boss. And at the end of the day, as you take care of everybody else's problems, you come home and your baby girl, you know what I'm saying? Is I'm pretty sure is diagnosed autistic and nonverbal, and I have been it's been stuck on me for that, like for the past like
Oof.
4 or 5 hours. Because that's the first time when I saw the song, and he was rapping. I played it back like 3 times just to hear that, and just to see in the part of the video of how I interact with her. Like it's
Yeah,
shot out and it's cut up,
I gotta check that
and
out, bro.
and like I'm like, bro, like my baby boy will be 7 this year, and he's nonverbal, and we've garnished and developed and created telekinesis where we can like just read each other, like just know
Yeah.
with mind reading. And I never thought in my life that like you argue with your women all the time. You're like, I'm not a mind reader, right? You talk to your homies, you're like, yo, just tell me what's going on, bro. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a mind reader. And you have a kid, and my nigga, you have
You're
no choice.
forced.
You have
attachment
no,
to
like
your telepath
you have
abilities,
no
your
choice.
spiritual connection right there. I mean, that's really powerful because you got to build that connection. That doesn't just come natural, and it takes being attentive. I know that
Attentive.
you
That's
know
the thing. That that's the thing, because I get I get I get chastised. I get criticized. And this ain't not just my wife. Like, this is me being a son, me being a brother, me being an uncle. Like, because my attentiveness has been tunnel vision almost. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just always on the needs of the kids. And because CJ is the oldest and he's been diagnosed, he gets a lot of the attention. And I leave kind of
know,
Christian by himself because, granted, my baby boy Christian is the prodigy of the family. I think he gonna get us up out of poverty if we ever give him that chance. You know what I'm saying? And then the baby,
he's definitely
the baby
a
has
promise.
Ivana, and so like CJ
Hmm.
really just he does need that extra, diversion of attention. And I feel guilty because I all my attention be on him. Like, when I go to the beach, I gotta be with him. When we go out to the play center, I gotta be on him. We go to the park, I gotta be on him. Even in the house, you know what I'm saying? Like, just the attentiveness and the being on guard, you know what I'm saying? So for Sauce, when I heard just that line being what he extrapolates himself to be, like wearing yourself then, I can just be like, man, that is that. Because I'm not always the most patient. I'm not always the most, checking myself, my emotions, and my
Yeah,
snappiness. And that can be directed to your kid by default. And then you immediately have to go apologize. You immediately have to go into retraction mode. You immediately have to go to rebuilding mode. And man, like, yeah, I've been with that, man. I've been that's kind of really been me, honestly. Like, my baby boy's teething. He'll be 7 months and he got teeth, so he about to come up off the boobs because all he doing is gnawing on nipples. And he like, well, nah, nigga, I'm used to nipples. Y'all get this food the fuck up out of here. Like, nigga, you got teeth, you gotta eat food, nigga. I'm on that path again. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I just been the past like the past like
you know,
12 hours. I had
the,
just been like, bam.
I just you know, I know you got a lot on your plate as a father of three boys, and especially with your eldest, being nonverbal. Like you said, the attentiveness is required. It's not like it's a 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months, 365, attentiveness, that level of heightened awareness that you got to be. I deal with my nephew who's on the spectrum as well, and yeah, there's a level of telepathic ability that you got to tap into because you got to be aware, of where they are. They can potentially hurt themselves, or they can get involved in something that they, shouldn't, or just making sure their needs are met, or they're hungry. They're not always going to tell you. I mean, my nephew's not nonverbal, but he's not always going to tell you what he needs sometimes because he's just, he'll go off of his emotions. He'll get mad. He'll get angry. He'll throw things, and you got to be able to find out what they need before they are before they
Yeah, like you
respond
gotta
in
read
in
this.
a
Like
way.
you gotta read the signs beforehand. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
before it gets
You like,
bad,
you hungry? You got a
Yeah.
potty?
Uh-huh.
You want to watch TV? You want your tablet? You know what I'm saying? Like, you
But
like you.
I didn't know if we were going to talk about this today, but it's very, very important that we take a good audit of who we leave these kids around because they are so, you know, um, challenged. And like you said, you got to check your frustration. You got to check your temperament. You got to be extremely patient with the kid who's on the spectrum, right? And it looks like there is a woman who it's hard to even
Yeah,
say.
I couldn't even.
It's
And that's one of the reasons why I
a
didn't want
mother.
to bring that topic, because I was gonna be angry and be. I was gonna be angry speaking about it, and discussing it, even
It's
though
tough.
it's tough and it happens so much. It happens at school, and to not cut off Chidi, there's a story I brought to his attention. A lady, and I'll bring it up to cover it up. A young lady, she has a son on the spectrum. She sends him to school, and because she has suspected things happening at school, or maybe just off the hunch where you say you can't
Yeah.
trust people at school, she puts in a hidden camera in his hair clip and his dress. So most kids, Caribbean or African culture or Black culture, I
Hmm.
know it's pretty much in our melanin culture. If your son doesn't speak, or if your child, more oftentimes your son, if your son doesn't speak, you don't cut his hair. You know what I'm saying? So if you see sometimes, majority of the time, some majority kids on the spectrum, autistic kids or nonverbal kids usually have dreads. They usually, have the, because that's just a folklore type thing. So in this particular case, the kid had, dreads, and she put a hair clip that had a camera in his hair, and found out that the kid at school was being verbally abused, physically abused, was not having his needs met. And I'm telling you, the boiling the boiling
Yeah.
in my blood. And I'm so grateful, because the first time my son went to school, I worked at a school. So the very first
Yeah.
time that he went to school, I drop offs, pickups, newest teacher, new. So the relationship built between myself and the school
Yeah.
has real equity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like real deal equity. And I do not take that for granted at all. Like people see me, they see my son, they see my son, they see me. That is all you can really ask for, but you don't get that everywhere. And even when your son moves to another, or graduates, or goes to a next level at school, you have to build that equity again. You have to have people who care there. You have to, and man, to know that you to know that you have to have that precaution before you send your kid to school is a fear of mine
It's extremely
that
nerve wracking.
I
I
don't.
remember putting Gabe on the bus, my nephew on the bus, and this feeling of I'm out of control now. Like mind you guys, I don't have kids, but I've never felt this paternal effect ever. I've been an uncle forever, but the way I feel it with this kid, my nephew Gabe, who's on the spectrum, is extremely heightened because I know he's vulnerable, and how people may treat him. So I remember the
Yes.
very first time I got him on the bus, and he didn't want to get on the bus. He's yelling, screaming, and I guys, hey man, it's school, it's okay, and get him on the bus. I had to calm him down, give him his little dinosaurs, and get him calmed down on the seatbelt, get his seatbelt in, and I let him
You don't
go,
know where that fear is rooted in,
and
bro.
and
You don't know if
I
you experienced them
immediately
before or nothing. Like you don't know.
they drive off, and I immediately this fear of anxiety comes over me. It's like, oh shit, I'm out of control. Like
I
I
gotta
don't know
follow this
what's gonna
bus.
happen to him. I don't
I
know
gotta
what's
follow
gonna
the
happen to
bus.
him. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if he's coming back. Like I don't know anything at this point. And that's when I started to realize I don't know what it's like to be a parent. But that's the closest I've gotten to like feeling like wow, that level of wow, you have to really. It's like almost like you really trust in the system to take care of your child. Now, I know we weren't planning on talking about this, but let me share this the story
Go ahead.
with y'all. So just so
Go
we can
go
have some
go
more
ahead, man.
context.
Go ahead, brother.
A young elementary student are now raising urgent questions for JCPS.
Many minors spoke with the family today. She's live tonight at Field Elementary with what they say was caught on hidden camera video. Addie?
Vicky, Rick, it was a heartfelt plea from a worried mother today as Tiffany Lee described what she says happened to her 7-year-old son Samaj here at Field Elementary this week. And now the question she's asking to JCPS is how this was allowed to happen. And I want to give you a quick warning. Some of the video you're about to see and hear might be disturbing.
Get off me now. Get off me now.
A disturbing video in which Tiffany Lee says her worst suspicions came true.
My son has severe nonverbal autism. He cannot speak, but I can.
The video you're watching was recorded by a secret body camera Lee says she hid in her 7-year-old son Samaj's ponytail. After she became suspicious, her son was being abused at Field Elementary.
This all started because over the course of months, I was flooded with calls and complaints about my child's behavior. Behavior that was not typical, not normal, and not something as his parents we had ever seen in our sweet child.
Samaj is severely autistic and nonverbal. Lee says he claps or acts out when he feels threatened, something you can hear in the video.
Good girl, boy.
Oh,
To actually hear one of our Jefferson County Public School teachers say, "Get out for me," that within itself is a concern.
Metro Council members Tammy Hawkins and Andrew Owens joined Lee to shed light on the allegations on Friday.
Our role is not to determine conclusion, but to ensure that when concerns are raised, they are examined fully.
We reached out to JCPS for comment, and a spokesperson says they are taking the allegations very seriously. But to ensure the process is as transparent and accurate as possible, they must follow their policies and procedures, and that the situation is under investigation.
well, I'm gonna stop it right there. And man, my heart goes out to that mother, man. I could only imagine the first of all the suspicion that your child just alone
Yes,
is
that
not being
that's
taken
that's
care of,
the that's
that he's
that's
not
the
safe
thing.
when
That's the
you are
thing.
not there, when you give your child to the system, to the school system, to protect him, to help them and better them, and nourish them, and take care of them. Just the suspicion alone could drive somebody crazy. But imagine getting that confirmation in video that your child being abused. I can only imagine how that feels, and I'm so devastated. Just even hearing that footage is jarring to me, and it puts me in a real state of uncomfortability. But I used to work at a school, and I've worked at a couple of schools actually, and I couldn't even imagine talking to a kid that way, much less assaulting a kid that way. And that guy needs to be arrested. He needs to be
But
severely
see,
punished.
that's the thing that nothing that is the thing that's frustrating because we know nothing will happen, right?
I don't know
Even
that,
with
man. I
no,
can't.
I'll take that away from you, and I'll say this from my perspective of what I see.
Okay.
I look at I look at um I look at Donald Trump's pastor, right, who was charged for rape and child stuff. I look at the Waco, Texas teacher who was given 1 day of, but it ended up being like 60 days or something like that, and he got out with child play. I look at officers who get found in contempt of their actions and then work in a different county. So what I'm saying is the system, right? We're talking now. We're just talking about the system in place to first and foremost, there needs to be a place to send your child for specialties. Your son does not need or should not be allowed to be in a public school setting that is not surrounded by like-minded students and individuals and caretakers of the sort. So I will say I'm not sure she's in Jefferson County and it looks like Louisville. I'm
In
not sure if
Kentucky,
that's
yeah,
Louisville, Kentucky.
yeah.
Okay. Because when I saw Jefferson County, I'm like, Lord, I know that better not be Birmingham, cause you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is I have a Jefferson County in Birmingham,
Hmm.
and in Jefferson County in Birmingham, I went to one of them schools. I was part of them neighborhoods, West End, Fairfield, Winona, Ramsey. All those schools did not was not equipped, right? People that worked there, people that had jobs there, people did not have the capacity. When we're talking about the city slashing funds, or state not giving out funds and having resources for mental health therapists and facilities and things of that nature. I think all of that plays a part, and I don't want to cause disparagement to the situation, but what I'm saying is that to you, when you said you worked at a school, for me, when I worked at a school, I do know that when we went to school, they had different subset and people that was identified to work with certain children. And
Yeah.
if you don't have that, if you're not meeting that, if you don't have those requirements, certifications, qualifications, whatever the case may be, I think it might do better for you to, and and I'll close with this and I'll leave it to you. It's not only so much the abuse that goes through parents. When me and my wife had our anniversary 2 years, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, her parents stays in Miami, right? And we was gonna go to the Keys. The Keys is 4 hours away from Miami. So we have to drive from where we at in Orlando, drive down to Miami, unload the kids, drop the kids off with the grandparents, and then we take off and we go down to the Keys. Father-in-law, Ivana's father, kids' grandfather, takes the children on a park day.
Mm.
Now, Lord knows I get mad at Ivana for doing this, but this helped tremendously. Our kids dress like twins. She buys the same
Okay.
outfit in different sizes, but they look alike.
Mm.
They look alike. So dad takes them to the park
This one.
and loses CJ because eloping ain't just going to get married in
Yeah.
fucking Vegas. Dumbass niggas.
Nah.
Eloping is when your kid decides to take off. Okay. So my son takes off at the park. My father-in-law, now I'm not there. This is stories that they are telling me after the fact.
Uh-huh.
My father-in-law is searching high and low for my son and do not want to call us because he know me. A nice lady at the park brings my son to my father and say, are, are you looking for this child? I'm saying that to say this, nigga, I don't trust grandparents. I don't trust grandparents. So now you talking about a fracture in a marriage, a fracture in a relationship, there
Mm.
is compound trauma into, can I trust my kids with these people?
It's oh man, you're right. Sometimes you can't even trust family, and that's why like it's it's hard to talk about because it's like how do we put these kids in the best place to be safely taken care of and monitored and grow and nurtured to be the best version of themselves, right? How do we then vet? Because you said something about certifications and get them. If you're not certified, you shouldn't be doing. Even if you're certified, you might not. You might have a bad fucking day and snap on one of these children. You know. To me, my only solution is cameras in every fucking classroom. Two teachers in every fucking classroom. So there's a you know accountability. I've worked with kids who have been on the spectrum. I haven't been the designated, what's the time frame? Like, from 9 o'clock to 5. I haven't 9 o'clock to whatever 2 o'clock. I haven't been that type of teacher, but after school, I've worked with kids with autism, and that eloping happens frequently, bro. And there is a level of uncomfortableness for the teacher because it's like you don't want to grab a kid,
That,
that's not yours,
bro,
but you want to make sure
that's
the kid is safe, right? So, but whatever was going on with this situation is not
It
that.
wasn't
So
that.
you, for the first
It was.
priority is to make
It
sure the kid
wasn't
is safe.
that.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you might need to like, hey, I remember there was a highway on the other side of the fence, and the kid was trying to get over the fence, and I had to carry him down and gently take him off the fence. And I'm like, this is not my kid, but I don't want to make sure he gets away because there's a whole highway on the other side of this fence. So I had to make sure, after, and I had to go call another teacher and let hey, take my kids because I was watching a whole group of kids. I need to watch this one kid. So now it's like, you know, resources are now divvied up differently as a teacher. So it's not easy. And you got to watch this one kid when they're going through an episode, and you got to make sure that they calm down, or you got to call a parent that's getting too crazy and say, "Hey, can you pick them up a little bit
Because
early?"
it's
You
just a
know?
distraction to the other kids, a
Yeah,
distraction to the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But the whole reason why they're there is because they need to go work later or something. So you're trying to be courteous with their time as well. So, and I would get mad at myself when I use bad language, like when I was like, oh man, I remember one time I told her mother, like, I tried to calm him down, but he was acting crazy. And I'm like, oh shit, why did I say that word? Because I didn't want to be offensive, and I'm like, damn. She's like, what? Acting what? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like he was just having an episode. I'm like, yo, I'm from New York. I just start talking. That's when I'm in Florida. I'm like, yo, I'm from New York. I just start saying my bad. And I felt awful the entire time we were on a field trip. I felt awful the entire time. Like, Dad, I shouldn't have said that because I don't want people to feel like I look at their kid as
A
a
certain
a certain type of
as a
way.
exactly.
So and that kid was on the spectrum, and he was nonverbal as well. And that was the first time I dealt with his episode. So I just said the first thing that came on my mind, and I felt so bad. But this type of situation, the guy needs to get locked up. And I know you don't have much faith in the system. I know you're like, well, there's things that have happened before. There is evidence of child abuse, and he's calling the kid
Well, it's child neglect. I
the
would
N
say
word.
child because child neglect. Yeah, child neglection. Get away
You
from
heard the
me.
pops?
You know. Yeah. No, I thought that was the son clapping, because she said when the
Okay,
son gets angry, like he claps. And
okay,
that's the reason why I'm
okay.
frustrated,
Maybe it's
because
not
they will
him hitting him.
always have. That's what I'm saying. Like, and not even to argue your point is that they can find a technicality to get them off from the maximum amount of punishment needed for it to really matter.
That's why you need
That's
cameras
the,
in schools, and and
that
and, and
yeah.
not no bathrooms and not like that, but like in the play area, in the classroom, in the hallways. There should be cameras at schools. There
And
should
I
be
want to
cameras.
bring myself to task. So I'm not a hypocrite. Niggas can look at me and see. Listen, I worked at a school. I was let go for those same cameras. For those same, and they don't have audio, so it shows, doesn't say. So as I'm working
Yeah,
with a kid that is having an episode and who's eloping and who's hitting other
yeah,
kids,
yeah.
and I have to like bring him, but I did not have the certification. I did
Okay.
not have the requirements. I did not have the justification to be put, but I was the
There
male
are
in
definitely
that
certain tools that
room.
we need to learn to handle situations.
Exactly,
That should be
exactly,
mandated across the
exactly.
nation, whole country.
And to
Yeah, I
your
hear
point,
you.
when you don't meet those, you get let go. So to that point,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that the system don't work. It worked for my black ass, but it don't necessarily work for people with lighter shade skin than me. That's all I'm
Well,
trying to
we
say.
will follow this, and we'll pay attention to what happened with this case because it hits us personally, it hits us in our spirit, in our soul. We
Absolutely.
both worked at schools. We both have autistic family. Your son, my nephew that we take care of, and just period. Like this, anybody who like I always say, children, the elderly, are like the most vulnerable people in the world. Like and I think that we have to protect them so much. So that's why I don't get these weirdos who feel like they can get a job and then talk to kids any type of way. Granted, I've been frustrated at schools and taking care of kids. I get it, but you have to have some level of understanding that you will be abused in this situation. Being a teacher is a thankless job, and you will not be losing your cool for a child in your classroom. And having a level of self control. And I think that we should be putting teachers through a self-control test,
Yes.
of some sorts, just
And I think
to gauge.
compensation matters too. And so to your point, like now when we're talking about
But people are doing
those
it
who
for the
are on the
money, and then they end up being
no, but
bad
I was
teachers. People
yes,
like,
but
we
I
were
was
gonna
yes,
use the
I
N
was
word for any black kid that's nonverbal. Like, this is ridiculous. This is
no, no,
outrageous.
no, no, no. I'm not. I will compartmentalize that by saying I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. I will compartmentalize what I'm saying as far as making it because the snappiness and good teachers lose. You can lose out on good people, whatever the case may be. Because some people, to your point, they'll they'll figure out very quickly that it's not worth it. Sometimes social
No, I
workers,
left,
advocates,
so I get
you
it,
know.
like, but if there was more incentive for me to stick it out, financially, and I generally did get a joy out of it because honestly, I believe I was one of the first black people a lot of these white kids ever saw, in a level in a position of authority,
An
like,
authority, yeah, an authoritarian,
an
yeah,
official position of like, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to, and I took that role very serious because I didn't want to be a bad
absolutely,
representation of our people
absolutely,
for these kids,
absolutely,
and cause any
absolutely.
trauma to them or whatever.
Just like
And
with nurses, people get
yeah,
into being
nurses
nurses
too.
and stuff like that, and they take advantage. Just like you said, children and
Exactly.
elderly. Bro, how the fuck you a nurse don't want to give my grandma her pills, bitch? I will kill you.
Yeah,
What you talking about?
exactly. Or curse them
I'm
out, or,
sorry.
because
I will kill you. You know what I'm saying?
you have to be
Like a
a
kill.
real, you have to be a real, goddamn, you gotta be a real fucked up person to intentionally hurt a child or scar a child. This is true through trauma, mentally, verbally, emotionally, or an elderly person who is helpless at that time. And I just hope that this case sheds a light on these situations and shows that this does happen, not just in Kentucky, not just in this school, and need to be more attentive to that. Because I've been in schools where, I've seen a little person, do a little things where I'm like, that teacher maybe shouldn't have reacted that way, and maybe they shouldn't be doing this job. Even me, I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to leave this job
Yeah,
because,
yeah. I used to tell. I
yeah.
find all the time, like, brother, working with autistic kids and come home with autistic kids, boy, this is, this is not
not
for
for
the
the
weak.
not for the week, bro. For real, it's not for the week. Cures, period. It's not for the week. But yeah, and then at least when I left, I went back home to just the roommates. I didn't have to come back home to more kids. That's crazy.
Oh,
But
that's the thing. Oh man.
yeah, man.
Um,
But I'm glad we got to speak about this and just give our takes on it because it is so serious and it's home for us. Where do you
yeah.
want to let up?
Shout out to Sauce Walker, man. I know, man. He a thorough nigga. You know what I'm saying? He out there in Houston doing his thing. You know what I mean? And like I said, uh that particular and again, this ain't the first time that he's put out a song that garnered a lot of he got a song where the Ghetto Gospel 1, I believe, or Ghetto Gospel 2 was on Jay-Z's playlist, and
Okay,
that's what
blew him
elevated
up.
him.
Okay.
Blew him up. You know what I'm
I
saying?
want to
So
listen
like,
more Sauce Walker. And now that you mention it, but this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, vulnerability on that level is like,
yeah.
why can't we say that's classic? I mean, that's, I think, especially if the music sounds good, like, on that level, you are really bringing somebody into your life and giving them a picture of things. I think that's so valuable, man. So I'm gonna definitely hit up some of his tracks, some of his albums, and just give him a listen. So shout out to Sauce Walker, man.
Absolutely. Shout out to the drip god. Ooh. What we got on the docket, man? Give me a quick second. I'm gonna grab a lighter. But what we got on the docket? What we talking about? Kevin
We
Hart, dumbass.
Well, it depends. We got a couple of things here. We can go your route with a couple of the NFL joints, or we can go.
Let's go because the name of the show is everything is what everything is.
Insensitive.
And since so like the very first thing we start off was
Extreme
insensitivity.
insensitivity. Yeah.
Extreme. So
Yeah.
we can go and follow that path. and
Okay.
we'll take it down just a notch to what Kevin, because I do believe what Kevin is saying adds value to the progress of the conversation.
Oh hell
I
yeah.
I, I do. Is it still insensitive? Absolutely, but it adds some contextual value
I'm
to
glad
it.
we heard from him. I really am glad we heard from him. But right now we're going to talk about Kevin Hart's response to the Kevin Hart roast and the
I'm
jokes
glad how we heard from him
about
too. I want
yeah,
him to be who he is. I don't
yeah,
want
100%.
I
I want
want
to hear
him to.
your words. I don't want to just make assumptions of who you are. I want to hear from the horse's mouth
Yes,
what you
yes,
think.
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I thought he thought this stuff anyways, but I'm glad we got confirmation to some degree. All right, so let's go ahead and check out Kevin Hart's response. Wait, let me just actually recenter this a little bit. A little bit. There we go. Matter of fact,
I'm
let's do
mute
that.
me, but I'll be right back. Okay.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna do a little bit of pausing in this video because I got to address a couple of things. And his words did incite a little bit of a little questionable. It's a bit questionable to me. So I'm gonna kick it off right here.
Joke to our culture, to our audience, but our audience that's watching the roast, if you're watching the roast, you get why they're doing it. You get why the racial humor is on the table. Like it's not. I wasn't shocked. Like that's what they do. Go look at the Tom Brady one. Like that's what they do. It happens every year when they do a roast. It's not new. This isn't a new. It's not a new agenda. It's not a new approach to comedy.
Do you
Listen, I'm gonna mute a couple of times with this, but I'm gonna stop right here. He says it's not a new approach to comedy. It's not new. I don't think that's the argument, Kevin. I don't think that the outrage is because we think that this is something that's new. Like we laughed at every other joke. Let's be fucking real. Like we get what a roast is. We're not fucking stupid. You don't gotta explain what a roast is to us. But I think what he's missing is that the racial comedy that targets one of the most tragic killings of a black man in this country, just one, is not a joke that's funny to people, you know. So the backlash is gonna come, you know. So, and also his family is gonna hear this. The insensitivity of having that joke is worth talking about, not because hey we didn't expect it to get racial. We know it's a Kevin Hart roast. He's black. These white people are gonna come up there and make fun of him being black and being a small black man. They said that he's the slave you get when you purchase Marshawn Lynch. You get him for free. You know, like that's the type of jokes they were telling. You throw in Kevin Hart when you purchase Marshawn Lynch. Like, yeah, okay, that's insensitive. That's racial. But hey, it's about you. You chose to be the the subject of the roast. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's wise for people to come on a roast and take shots at Emmett Till or take shots at Sandra Bland or Trayvon Martin and make light of those moments because we're still living through a racial insensitive era in America. And as I said yesterday, I believe that people think that, oh, hey, it's a joke, but they don't realize that we can't tell if these people mean this shit because we're in an era where the the racism is being disguised as a joke. The racism is being um, played to a base because they want to garner more fans that are also racist. So let's continue with it. Unless you got any comments. Uh-huh.
Misogynist, a womanizer. Oh, he don't care about women. He don't care about women's rights, depending on what that joke is. If the man makes a
Yeah,
joke
you're
about
muted. My
women,
bad. Just repeat that. Sorry.
okay, no, no, that's okay. I was saying that I was saying that the ambiguity at which people make these jokes under the racial undertones of this is what that is. It allows for the interpretation to be what it can be.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, Gary Owens just did a joke about having a black kid and a white kid. He walked that line.
Line. And it's
What?
possible to do it.
Because also, what do you mean he acts black? What do you mean he acts that? What do you mean? Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, people can make something out of anything, especially when we're talking about in this insensitive time. You know what I'm saying? But to Gary's point, he still says the N word. He don't say nigga. Regardless of how much black women he done been in, no matter if he got a black kid or not, no matter how many barbecues he's been invited to, and he's been invited to a lot, that guy is not comfortable saying nigga.
There's a line, right? That's there. But
There's a
but even
demarcation in morality.
exactly, but
And
even with him, like he makes a joke about his own life and his own kids. It's his experience, you know? Making a joke about a family that's not on stage and a person and saying that person is in hell is a bit too far for me, especially when we know the circumstances that this person passing away caused a national riot. But let's continue with what Kevin Hart is saying because I got more to say on his perspective on this.
You feel like Tony Hinchcliffe went too far when he made that joke about George Floyd?
It's Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
Like I don't expect less. I don't expect more. Right?
I feel like you're saying going too far is the point. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yes, I mean that's why you're there. And
And you see, wait, hold on, let me hear what you said.
I hate to say this, but I'm going to because we're being honest. People are talking about that joke. Talk about his set. Tony Hinchcliffe arguably had the best set or one of the best sets between Tony and Cheryl.
All right, listen to me. It's
what? I mean, he's speaking from his POV.
absolutely. Listen, I like Kevin Hart. I do. I like
And
Kevin
niggas
Hart.
like Tony. Clearly, he had a whole joint in Vegas 2 years in a row. He quote
Listen,
unquote gotta be funny.
niggas, who's niggas? That's why I'm gonna ask. Like, what type of people like Tony? And that's the thing. That's the whole problem. What I think he's missing here is, man, is this just rage bait? Is it comedy or is it rage bait? Throwing in that joke. Oh yeah, we're supposed to go too far, but you're supposed to go too far in the pursuit of making people laugh. If you're going too far in the pursuit of, hey, it's not a roast unless we get some controversy, or people feel like uncomfortable, or people are butthurt about it. Like it's not a roast unless we almost say the N word. It's not
That's what
worth
I
it.
feel like. I do feel like a roast is to get not laughs but oohs.
But
How many oohs we can get rather than laughs? That's what I have grown to accommodate myself with. So that's why I don't watch too many roasts now. After growing up in the era of Comedy Central, where you got to turn the volume down a little bit or turn the contrast down on the TV because you don't want to get in trouble watching something you're not supposed to, because it was racy, it was edgy, it was inappropriate, but it wasn't what we grown into hurtful. It wasn't
I think he's missing that we talked about the sets. A lot of people gave Tony his props for the set. They said this joke is insensitive. And you
yeah.
backing Tony and saying, oh, he has one of the best sets when he just said George Floyd is in hell. You were at George Floyd's funeral and you laughed about that joke, you know? And yes, you didn't say the joke, but you laughed. And at what cost is it that we laugh about these things? There was a ton of protests and riots due to a cop taking a man's life. Just forget about being black. Forget about the culture. A cop took a man's life with complete impunity. Put his knee on the nigga's neck for 8 minutes straight, and did not let up until he passed away. Where do we now get to in 2026, just 6 years later, and be able to say, have a white guy on stage that's in the night to honor you, and let this white man go up there and say, yeah, that guy, he's in hell looking up at you, laughing
You
so
know
hard that
what?
he can't breathe.
I do hear you on that, and what I and now I think this is where why me and you have the show, and I offer this. There, to your point. Okay, let me to your point. There is no excuse for you to bring George Floyd because he's not, but you can kind of then call him a political figure a little bit. And if we do that, then I do say that now when they have the argument of we make jokes about JFK getting clipped or we talk about Charlie Kirk getting clipped, like that's when people. But to your
I
point,
don't
George
think they should
Floyd
make
wasn't
jokes about Charlie Kirk getting
correct.
clipped either.
Correct.
Honestly, I don't. You know, however, however, this George Floyd
Hmm.
joke is about the guy getting clipped and being in hell. For what? Like where and not being able to breathe. You know, we're making a joke out of this guy losing his life because he was suffocated with a knee on his neck.
Yep.
That's the joke.
Yep.
Where the Charlie Kirk
Yep.
joke was really a shot at Tony. The guy said, "Oh, like you pretty much saying Tony's gay. He takes takes stuff to the neck, like a lot of loads to the neck. Pretty much that's what the guy Pete said, and saying that. So the aim of the joke is at Tony. The aim of the joke with
But
this
the punchline is Charlie Kirk.
the punchline is Charlie Kirk and it's insensitive, but the punchline to me is at Tony's. Like, the punchline is using Charlie Kirk, yes, to make a joke aimed at Tony. This joke was a joke where we got to laugh about him not being able to breathe and being in hell. Like, this is just completely aimed and insensitive and disgusting that you would say this about George Floyd. The only people that laugh about this stuff are the people that Tony Hinchcliffe plays to, and that's the racist white America, and not even just
Well,
racist
you
white
just said
America.
what you said. You
Racist
said you said Kevin laughed too, right?
Kevin laughed, but he did. You can hear him talk about it. He's like, "Oh, did you expect me to confront him and all that stuff?" But let's see if he finds it funny.
And I would say Naeem had a really strong
Naeem had
set.
a very strong set. I was laughing out loud at Tony until that. But not even just that joke. I don't like when people joke about violent, tragic death. I like Pete said, and I was like, oh, why you have to say?
I mean, Pete had a great set too. Pete had a Charlie Kirk joke. Like, would I tell those jokes? No. Do I get why they're being told? Yes. Like, I'm not looking at Pete crazy. I'm not looking at Tony crazy. Like, that's what I know what you're going to do. I know your style of comedy.
Did you see the interview that I did with Terrence Floyd, George Floyd's brother?
No.
So he said
No shot.
No, that's good.
I'm never watching that.
That's fine.
I'm never watching. Even now that you told me, I'm not going to hear back and go to that.
No, because he's
I just want to make it clear. So you said it's my time. Like, I'm never doing that. Okay, go ahead.
because he's a fan. Love you.
Mhm.
He saw the joke
Mhm.
and it picked up pretty big.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if you saw it, but he basically said, like, as a fan of you and knowing that you came to the funeral to support his family,
Mhm.
even though it's a roast and Tony, that's what he does, they expected you to kind of be the person that would like stop it right in the moment or just not allow for certain things to
And
happen.
he also said he wanted you to come harder. He said if they want to joke, why you ain't come harder with your own
All right.
racist joke?
This is actually a good thing to do.
See, then
They
you
talk
get
about my dead mom, like dead dad. Said that they were running a train on my mom.
That was hilarious.
Right?
It was,
that was
The jokes about
Oh, Regina killed that. You probably shouldn't say killed that.
The ship in the bottom. Like, I'm going to appreciate humor.
Okay, so there. He said it first. Some people are something else before they're black, and he's a comedian before he's black. What his rebuttal to what? Uh, sorry, what's her name again?
Laura LaRosa.
Laura LaRosa. Yeah,
LaRosa.
his rebuttal to her was that, oh, they made jokes about my mom and my dead mom and my dead dad, and my mom getting a train ran on her.
Mhm.
Duh, you're the subject of the roast, dude. That's not comparable. Like, they took a shot at a guy that died 6 years ago by police brutality, and that you went to the funeral of, and you're now equating that to, yeah, well, so what? They made jokes about me when you chose to have a roast about yourself. You know, I think that's a real difference. Think about it. You chose to have a roast, and you're gonna say, in response to them saying about, hey man, you didn't like check them on this joke. You're saying, well, they made jokes about me. They didn't choose to be the subject of the roast. His family didn't, and George Floyd obviously doesn't even have a voice to be,
Yeah,
chosen to be.
I hear that, but I will also say to Kevin's defense of what he's saying is that inappropriate jokes of people that I have been. I'll tell you, I was at my mom's funeral. I was at my dad's funeral. I know I'm the subject of it, but to your point is, it's insensitive in nature on the premise with the George Floyd, with the Charlie Kirk, with my mom and dad. On the premise, all of those things are insensitive. Whether it's directed at me or directed at people who aren't there, they were all in premise insensitive. I would ride that wave with Kevin, and to the point of, I don't know how much laughing I'm gonna do if somebody makes a joke about my aforementioned nonverbal son. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's a roast, and I know it might be a roast of Chris and everything like that. You know, I might have rules and regulations on it. I don't know, but it all because there's no in good taste,
But
and
I
there's no
and
in
I,
good taste
I
at a
I
roast.
hear you. I hear you. Just like in a rap battle, there's no in good taste. Like, we were talking about that other day. I was telling you, listen, in a rap battle, you go as far as you can, right? Because they're your adversary. We talked, then you equated it to the roast, and I was like, well, a roast you sign up for. This is kind of to honor you. But but the thing about it is, there's if you set up this beforehand and you say, all right, yeah, you guys can make jokes about me. Here's what you can talk about. Here's what you can't. And then they go left and take a shot at somebody who's not even there, somebody who's not even on stage, somebody who's not related to that. It feels like I needed to get this off. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think that Kevin Hart reads the questioning and the outrage by saying, "Oh, they just mad and they're sensitive about a joke." It's
But
not
is it
just about
just
a joke.
Kevin, or is it Sir Underwood as well? Because a lot of comedians are on this press run now
Well, Cheryl
about this
Underwood
particular joke.
talked about how the shit was her. She was not too. She wasn't bad. Like, she wasn't tripping. Because he's 30. Her husband died of suicide like 30 years ago, and they've made jokes about it since. And she allowed it. So that's what she's saying. I don't think she really touched on the George Floyd thing. I'm not sure what she thinks about the George Floyd thing. So I mean, but maybe she did. If that's true, that I missed it. Obviously, Chelsea Handler came out. She said she didn't think it was funny. You know, and I feel her on that. Like, there's certain things by certain people that I feel like, if Kevin Hart said this, I would have a problem with it. But even more, I have a problem with it because Tony Hinchcliffe and his racist crew down in Austin, Texas, have a whole racist, like, crew of people that are making money saying racist jokes every week. Now, granted, you want to do that on your show, go for it. I'm not watching that shit anymore. I stopped watching them like 2 years ago because I saw where it was going. I saw that they were Donald Rollins was on stage doing a set, and they wouldn't let him finish his set, and then it led up to Rob Schneider calling him a nigger. and and everybody laughing about it. I'm like, what is this? This is not comedy. This is you using comedy as a mask to get off your racism. So Tony Hinchcliffe put that joke in there. One, to rage bait, you're right, to rage bait and get because people are gonna talk about it. But two, to play to a racist base, and I think that's the part where we're missing. He says he doesn't look at Tony Hinchcliffe different. Well, guess what? We don't know him. We do look at him a little bit different because we've seen for years him propagate and prop up racist comedians who are going to say racist jokes and put their whole, in the vein of comedy, saying we're bringing comedy back, like people are not, we're going to be as insensitive as possible, while trying to push the boundaries on what's acceptable to say about black people and black people's struggles. And he did that in your face on your own roast in front of a black audience. So that's what makes it a problematic thing to me. It's not just a joke. It's that I think it was a political statement to make the joke in the first place.
It's tough for me to follow you down the political nature of it when a lot of these white people are just racist with no political fucking atonement
But to me,
around it.
being black is political no matter what, and making a joke about
Yeah,
black people is
but
political no matter what. It's just
well,
you
no,
may say being racist is political in this country. There's a whole war about racism and being able to own us. So everything is racist. Everything they say, why you talk about race? Like, sorry, but just us existing in this country is political because either you see us as people and you say, you know what, I'm not going to go that far because I wouldn't want somebody to talk about, you know, our people
but
that way,
but that's what
or
I
you
but
do
that's
it
what I'm trying to say.
anyways
No,
because you
no,
don't give a
nope.
fuck.
Well, this is what I'm trying to say. We're asking empathy from people to say we don't want our people to be talked about.
I'm not
Like
asking
what?
nothing. I'm
No,
telling you what it was.
no,
Like I'm
no,
telling
I'm
people,
telling you about
not you.
white people. No, I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. Like to what you just said. Not to have an argument between us two. What you just said is that do you believe we're people, or are you like do you want your people talked about and that we can never say anything as bad, vile, vitriol
They
as
can't
to the
even
real life
comprehend,
thing
but
of what yeah
that,
they
some
don't
white people, I
even
can though. There's some white people that will understand, like Chelsea Handler. She's like, yeah, that's not funny, you know, you
well
know.
unless Chelsea unless what's his name Tom unless Tom took as much black dick as Chelsea he won't understand right and
Tom,
even then we talk about but we talk about the interracial
Tony.
relationship stuff where sometimes if you
To
have
me,
a white a
it's
white
not even like dating black people, bro. Some people, it's not even about that. It's just they see morality and human beings. Like they I got like you. So we talked about in the first cold open being something before you're black. And I've told you before, I'm something before I'm black too. Some people are, but some of these things are good. They're not like I'm a brother before I'm black. I'm a son before I'm black. I am a human being before I'm a best friend before I'm black. Like I'm a human being before I'm black. So being a human being, I'm not gonna come out here and make a joke about the Holocaust. I'm not gonna do that because I recognize that they went through some pain and that's ingrained in their trauma living on this earth, and I'm not gonna say talk like make some oven joke about putting people in ovens. Like that's not me. Some people will do it, but that's not me because I can find another way to be funny, and still have a great set. But I think that this joke in particular was not even about, even if you made a joke about a person who, if they made a joke about a civil rights person who was on stage or they tied it into something that Kevin Hart did politically, I would have no problem with it because it's Kevin Hart. But when you know what caused the last rise of black people and you want to poke at that wound, it seems like you just are trying to play to a racist base. This is why we get people like Chad the Builder trying to antagonize black people into doing something so he can shoot them because they have now been emboldened by this entire scene of like, yeah, man, we can say the things that we shouldn't be saying. It's like this rebellious white boy attitude that feels like being able to say the N word or being able to say George Floyd was in hell is now cool, you know? And I don't think it was necessary. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
but
I want empathy. I'm just saying what it
saying it,
was. And I don't think
saying
Kevin
it ain't
Hart,
what it
and
is
it's really,
for
really
them.
towards Kevin Hart, I don't think he gets it. I don't think he gets that that's a political statement in itself. I don't think that he gets that that's what they're doing down there in Austin. Or he's rich and comedy. He's rich and a comedian before he is a black man, before he is a empathetic human
Well,
being. You
that's
know,
not fair. I'm not saying that because if we keep going with his
he
plot,
keeps
if we
saying
keep,
that it's comedy.
but,
It's about the comedy.
no, he doesn't. At the end, he keeps saying that I don't have to explain myself to people
No, let's go
as
ahead.
I already go ahead and. Okay.
By the attempt of humor. I get it, right?
There you go.
Case, like, do more. It's my production. We're live. The more is what? Like, what is it that you expect me? You want me to take a live production and stand up and fight Tony or have a reaction? Like, Tony told a joke. It wasn't a tasteful joke to us. We didn't like it. Okay. Hey man, fuck that joke. We move on. I don't understand why we stand on a hill and it becomes like this big thing of like, oh man, the motherfucker, they do this and they're attacking the culture. It doesn't have to be that. It literally is either you're
Because
a
that's what they
fan
say about Drake.
of this level of content or you're not. And if you're not a fan, you don't watch it. So my last note for all is really simple. Okay? The headlines or whatever the dialogue is. My rebuttal is simplicity. Remove me from it. I didn't say it. If you are upset that the night went on, that's a different conversation. It's nothing I can do. It's a production. It's a live production. I'm not compromising the live production for a reaction of what? What do you want me to do? I'm supposed to drag him off? You want me to fight afterwards? You want me to turn it into like what? That's not what I agreed to do. That's not the job at hand. The job at hand.
We're gonna. I want to. Yeah, I want to continue with the video, but I'll give you time to talk about what he said just now with Floyd.
That's fair. Like what he's asking. I made a couple comments watching that. I don't know if they was picked up or not. I don't know if I'm muted or not.
Not anymore.
But I made a couple comments like he was like, "What do you want me to do?" Like I'm not a like that's what do you want me to do? It's production. It's. Do you want me to make a spectacle out of it? You know what would you have wanted me to do? He said because for that being because then that is then the real headline. Tony says the joke is insensitive. Kevin stands up and he placates. You know what I mean? On behalf of black people and the insensitivity of that joke, regardless of everything else that has been said on that stage. The thing that then would stop production, to Kevin's point, the thing that will then stop the motion, to Kevin's point, would have been him grandstanding on this particular joke. When he was like, hey, fuck that, because me and you talk about all the time about the beef, right? You say, hey, bitch ass nigga Drake, so what? If the pedophile shit ain't true, so what? You know, if George Floyd ain't in hell, so what? It's a joke, right? That's kind of what niggas are saying, and that don't fly. So that's
Um.
what I'm just trying to say, and I know it's not an equal equivocation, but that's what I'm hearing when I'm like, get over
Okay.
when Kevin Hart's saying get over it. When Kevin Hart's like, don't care about the joke or bypass the joke, or hey, even if roast ain't your thing and you heard that it was a thing that you don't fuck with, I will respect you. Don't watch it. Don't now hate watch what you saw. Cherry pick
But
off the
here's the thing.
one joke and
They
then make
like the
it the story
roast.
of it.
I think that's the I think he's trying to reframe the narrative. It's not that oh we don't like roast. It's that that joke was insensitive, bro. And I think that it's okay for him to say, you know what, it was an insensitive joke.
He
And I
said
want
that.
you no, I think that he's
He
not
said it was
saying that.
insensitive.
I think he's
No,
saying
he
that
said
we should
it
talk
in the thing.
he said okay, maybe he said that, okay? He's saying though, and he's kind of copping pleas for Tony, saying, "Oh, why don't we talk about his set?" Well, we are talking about his set. This is part of his set. It's like almost like he's trying to wash that joke under the rug and saying, "Oh, what about all the other jokes?" Like that he did. And that's what I mean by you're comedian before you're black. Some people say, "I see what they're doing out there in Austin, Texas, and I don't fuck with that shit." But he's willing to do it for the production. He's willing to do it for the money and all that stuff, and smile and like, all
Well,
right,
why
cool,
we
and move
include
on
Austin,
because
Texas,
he
in
has
what they're doing with that though?
this calls into question the whole thing with Kevin Hart about him potentially doing like Kevin himself said it on the roast. Like he doesn't say no. He's a guy who's gonna put the business before he's gonna take any type of deal. He's gonna take anything, and it doesn't matter if the script is bad. It doesn't matter if the jokes are anti-black. He's gonna say yes. It doesn't mean that he's not putting on black people like his cut boys and all that stuff. However, when it comes to front facing, being for a black cause and saying, you know what, you're right. This joke, I wish he didn't do this. And matter of fact, I'm not because I don't want him to go and fight Tony. No, I do. I saw it and I said it the night after the roast. Like, when he came on here, I was like, now Kevin Hart gotta like kind of play like he's funny and laughing at this joke. Um, I would if I was Kevin, I would have said, listen, I didn't think the joke was funny, but I was uncomfortable and I laughed at it. But he laughed at it, and maybe he's trying to put some guard up for Tony, and that's what I see this conversation as. It's like, no, don't pick at the bad jokes on the roast.
No,
It's comedy.
I'm sorry. I'm seeing it different. I'm seeing it different. He's saying, nigga, I ain't tell a joke. If you got a problem with it, bring it to Tony. Don't bring this shit to me.
Oh yeah, okay, I
That's
agree
what
with
I'm.
that. I agree with that.
That's what
I
I'm
agree with
hearing.
that. I
I'm
agree with
I'm
that.
hearing Kevin. I'm hearing the guard go up like, why the fuck is it the Kevin Hart? It's the Kevin Hart roast. Did Kevin Hart say a joke? Did Kevin Hart say a joke? And even in insensitivity, sometimes, like I'm not even going like even in insensitivity, we've all been around our homeboy. I've been a homeboy, maybe you've been a homeboy, maybe, and you done said some shit to your girl because you fly with it. It's mean. It ain't supposed to be said in the moment. It definitely ain't supposed to be said in front of company. And me or you have said it, and the homeboy, that boy, wow, right there, boy, ain't he? You laugh uncomfortably of the joke in the moment. You don't necessarily think the joke is funny. You don't think that what he's doing is right. You might even talk to your homeboy after the night or whatever. Hey man, you talk to Millie Craig, you talk to I Craig, man. You know what I mean? Like you do that, but in the moment on that little wooden couch in that living room at 6553, we didn't chuckle at some shit we weren't supposed to in
Listen,
the
man,
in an
I already
insensitive
listen.
moment.
Listen, I've already, said I don't think he should be getting the heat for the joke. So like I get you, and I already said that he was in an uncomfortable space where he had to like let it's in production, let me laugh it off and let me keep going. However, once that production's over, I do think that you can be like, hey guys, yeah, that was not the best part of the night. Rather than completely defending it and copping pleas, I think that you can also say that was not one of the best parts of the night, and I wish he wouldn't have done that. And direct that all inquiries to Tony. That was not me. And I think that what he's doing more than anything is saying, hey, bigging up Tony. Oh, it was one of the best sets. Like, talk about his set. Like, almost saying, like, forget about that joke. He was so funny that I don't even care. That's how it comes off to me. He was so funny that, like, who cares about that joke? Whereas it's completely, completely ignoring it. And I get it. You don't want to apologize or anything because you weren't the person. I don't think you should be apologizing for something that you didn't do.
But that's what we're demanding.
But
Not
no,
not
I'm not
we.
demanding an apology. I think
Not
just
no, not me and
acknowledging
you.
that,
Not me and
yo,
you.
don't come
But
on
not
here
me
and
and
act
you.
like we're the ones who are acting crazy for saying that this joke is insensitive and out of poor taste and also racist. That's
But
what
hold
we're trying
on.
to say. If he can't
If
say the
you
joke
just,
is racist, then I mean, it's like he's trying
but
to
why
say,
does
yeah,
it?
the joke is racist, but who cares? That's what he's saying.
I mean, that is what I mean. He, if we just rewind a little bit and watch it, he did say it's insensitive. I wouldn't have said it. I don't agree with it, but it's under the umbrella of comedy, and it don't stick to my ribs as much because I'm in it. It seems like it's sticking to the ribs of people who are
I
not
think that Kevin
ingrained in it.
Hart is a rich person who honestly gets to do this and put his arm out to all these things and say, "Yeah, I'm not a part of that. I'm not a part of that. I'm not a part of that." When he's so
That's
powerful, he could genuinely call out what's going on in Austin, Texas, and in that scene, he could genuinely say,
you.
"Yeah, they're
So
coming
you
from."
want Kevin Hart versus Joe Rogan? That's what we want now. Because you mentioned Austin,
I
Texas,
I
and we're not
wouldn't
mentioning
mind it.
what is in Austin, Texas. It's Joe
I wouldn't
Rogan
I
Comedy
wouldn't mind
Club.
it. I wouldn't mind it. But Tony's the one who's running that shit. So I wouldn't mind it if he
It's
called that shit
Joe's
out.
money behind it. Tony ain't got no money to put. He running it. Joe's the fucking manager at McDonald's, nigga. The franchise owner is Joe fucking Rogan.
And Tony's saying the
That's not,
jokes, and it's Tony's show. Kill Tony is a Tony produced show. At the end of the day, I'm just telling you, bro. You can own the building. He's the guy out there producing the show and getting the acts to come on there and getting the most
but
racist
that's
type of.
exact. So hear me out. What we just said. This is Kevin. He rented it out. This is Kevin production. This is Kevin's thing. He's not in charge of what Kill Tony says
Dude,
at the
I
roast.
already said that, bro. So
No,
you're
I
missing my
know.
point.
I'm not missing your point. What I'm saying is, to your point, is Kevin's rich and he can stick his arms
But
out and he
your
wants to
production,
disassociate.
yes, he's disassociating from the moment that moment. He's saying that yeah, it's a production, it's business. He's going to take the money at any cost, even if it calls into question. Hey, if there's going to be a racist joke, he's with it. He's fine with it. If there's a racist joke at somebody who's not even there, who wasn't approved, that takes a shot at George Floyd, who I hear his daughter's already getting bullied, at school. So this just makes it even worse. Like so, he doesn't care about none of that stuff because it's all in the framework of a joke. And I
But
think
that's
that's
not
where I'm
fair
trying.
to say that.
He
He
just
was
said
at
that.
the
I'm using his
funeral.
own
He was at
words.
the No, it's not, bro.
So
He was at
that's
the
my
funeral.
point. That's my
He
point.
so don't say he don't
You
care. That's not, you can't do
he
that.
just
When
said
I
it's
called
all.
the family and I told them that it was gonna happen, he talked to Steven Jackson. He called the
Oh, Steven
family and talked to
Jackson.
them.
Oh, he called Steve Jackson. Oh, so it makes it fine.
All
All
right,
right.
respect.
Oh
We
no, you're
can't.
right.
You
He
want
called
to,
Steven Jackson. So that's it.
bro? You
Put
telling me like if he don't call if he don't
he
do
didn't call
none of
Steven
that.
Jackson before that. It would happened afterwards.
He
Had a
called
conversation.
after. Yes, because I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening before. I can't call and say what's happening before because I don't know what happened before. It happened. The very thing I did was contact the family or contact the person that I fuck with the most that is directly in contact to that family and say, hey, bro, this is coming out. I'm letting you know. It's a heads up.
You hearing this?
Yeah, turn it back. Yeah, rewind it back. Rewind it a little bit back. A little bit back.
All right, I'm going back.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
And I say, hey man, let me call the one person after. And that's before whatever you're talking about. That's immediate. Stack, hey, Tony threw one out there. It's this and this, but you do know that that's what this shit is a roast. But I just want you to know from my side, that man is on his own.
You ain't lead with that, Kev. You should
Lead
have been
with what?
leading with that the whole time.
I don't need to.
People just want to know you care.
I don't fucking need to prove to people that I give a fuck.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Just this time. This one time.
No.
Yeah, this one.
No. If you open that door, then that's the door that people expect all the time. Why the fuck do I need to do that?
I think it's because of how much the George Floyd situation affected so many people. I think I get what you're saying and how you stand on your business, and I respect you
I'm
for
not
that.
talking about standing on business.
Or whatever it is. I think with certain things.
Not say it.
But their pushback is it happened at Kevin Hart's roast. Kevin Hart, who is like, he's out, like, so many of us support you.
I
You're
got these
ours.
They just want to hear you say
okay, I got
Let it ride. Let it ride.
It's tasteless.
Okay.
You actually
Yeah.
reached out to somebody who's considered his
That's it.
family to say,
I don't
let
think-
them know. That's all.
I have the best example. If I go to a nightclub and like we're celebrating, right? And 2 people get killed that night at the nightclub. What's the headline?
Kevin Hart's party got shot.
Shot
Two
up.
people
2
got
people
killed at
died
Kevin Hart's party.
at Kevin Hart's party. Right? People may say, I'm not going to Kevin Hart's party again. Man, you can't go to Kevin Hart's shit. Kevin Hart's shit ain't safe. I ain't fucking with Kev. You heard what happened? I go, but I didn't fucking do it. I didn't even know the people that fucking was shooting. I didn't even know the two people that got killed. That's the nature of being the name. Your name is attached to things to make things bigger. What is my fucking... I didn't shoot the gun. Why am I arguing and why am I doing interviews after?
Listen, man.
Keep it going. I'm sorry, he had a point. He gonna wrap it up. He gonna wrap it up.
Go ahead. I'll go ahead.
In your party with guns.
But who knows? I don't work the metal detectors. I'm not the security guys. The club does all that. I don't have those answers. You understand what I'm saying? Like the responsibility just it starts to compile as if I'm the one in charge. We are not in charge of the dialogue from anybody on that stage.
The only difference is, if it was a party, you wouldn't have invited them in. If you invited them to the party and you knew they was coming and you knew they was gonna be there, and you know they potentially might be goons.
Okay.
Like you know how Tony get down.
Okay, so the Tom Brady roast was a big hit.
Yep.
Right? What was the talent attached to Tom Brady's roast? That was a huge hit.
Yep.
I also asked Nikki Glaser to do it. Tony and Nikki were the two standouts from that roast. They were the big fucking winners of that roast. I'm gonna get the winners of that roast to come back and fuck with me on mine. It's that simple. There was no other thought. I don't know the track record of and what I'm going from. Hey man, bring the hitters back. Let's see if we can get Nikki and Tony because they crushed on the last one. Jeff, you got to do this one too. Okay, what is Kevin pulling the talent from? I'm pulling it from what? Success.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted to shoot him some bail with, as we are saying Kevin don't care, or Kevin's not aware, or Kevin's insensitive,
Well,
or
he
Kevin
said he wasn't aware just now. He said he just said.
I know, but I thank you again. So when we're saying Kevin is aware of what it is, when you're saying he knows what's going on in Austin, when he knows Kill Tony, like when we're giving
I'm not saying that he knows them. I'm saying that he's doing this as if he's so rich he don't fucking know. That's what I'm over here fucking my setup. He's so rich that he don't fucking know what's going on. So yeah, he lets these niggas in here and say racist jokes. But I think he should be tapped in a little bit more. I think he's so rich and so disattached that he's not attached in to the culture, and that's where we're like, hey man, maybe you should know that these niggas are not the ones to have on your roast, because this is a black man's roast. Let's be real. This is you. You're one of the best to do it, and you're having guys who are known for racism, who are known to be very much in the whole MAGA sphere of things, And I do think you should curate better. I get it. They did great on Tom Brady's roast because that's Tom fucking Brady. He's MAGA too. So but I do think that he wants to be like higher than any political thing. He wants to just get the best talent, and that's putting the money first. That's putting comedy first before you put, standing in on some type of, morals for black people in the culture, which is his choice, And I cool that, but people are going to call it out.
Because I think Dave Chappelle would have brought Tony on. I think if it was a roast,
I don't know that.
Nikki. As the track list of racist white people that are involved in roast that have been, like Kev said, just called back based off of success is very long, realistically. Like Jeff is the roast master, and his is not racist, but it is very much raunchy.
Yeah,
very
100%.
much is,
but that's a way to do it without, having to throw out that bait for your MAGA racist fans. That's what I'm talking about here. And listen, I'm not trying to beat up on Kevin Hart. I like the man. I like what he's doing. He's a legend. However, sometimes you make mistakes, and sometimes you should be called out on that. And I'm not saying that he made the primary mistake here. I'm just saying that you laughing at that joke and then acting as if we should just still big up this guy who's clearly doing this as a attack on something that was tragic to black people for the same reaction of rage baiting us should be in your forefront of your mind sometimes. I think that you shouldn't be so detached. That's where my criticism lies with Kevin Hart, is that I do think he's detached. I think he shouldn't be as attached if he does care about the family, if he does care about the messaging that it sends out, and that's all. I'm not saying he made the joke. I came here and said the next day I was criticizing the people who were up there doing their political shit and getting their shit off. It wasn't about Kevin, but I care where he's coming from, But here's the thing: he doesn't want to be allowed to be to show that he cares, and that's what makes him who he is. That's the difference between him and Cat Williams. Like Cat Williams is not going to have these people on his roast. He's not. Cat Williams is not. He has a certain level of. I'm not. I don't want to say integrity because I don't want to say that Kevin doesn't have integrity, but a level of uh, morality or something that I know that he would be picking specific people that are not just because they're a bit, Whereas Kevin is all about the numbers, all about who was the big hit, who can I get to do this. So when you get a roast and a lot of these people are like the typical, white roast masters, you start to see, oh, this is a Netflix production, and this is what Kevin Hart is doing. This is what he's trying to achieve. This is not meant for just the culture. It's meant for everybody, the white fan base to enjoy too. And that little bait out there is for not just white people, because there's white people that didn't like it either, but the specific racist fans that I think don't need that on a Kevin Hart roast. That's my opinion, though. That's all. That's all. Don't give them no fucking bait.
Giving them bait is giving them. So I mean, just I mean to what you're saying is, hey, don't have no racist white people on your roast and be more in tune to who's racist.
Yep.
Well, from even our video, we just found out niggas didn't know their quarterback was racist. I mean, niggas don't know. Nigga, Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart played a whole season together, and niggas did not know who. So what I'm saying is, to be disassociated and disattached to somebody that is in your own locker room, I don't make that proven point for Kevin and Tony because they're in the same profession
I'm
that he
just
has to be
saying that you can
attached
do that now. I'm saying that, yeah, you didn't know.
I know
Great.
you're saying
You
that now, but
understand.
we're
Just like Abdul
saying I
Carter
know,
can
but
understand now that Jackson Dart is racist now and move accordingly. That's how I look at this with Kevin. And I think that we can call that out and be honest about his responsibility. That's all. It's not like, hey, oh, my hands are up. I didn't say it, but I put the whole production together and I let the joke ride. And I'm saying that he had a great set, so you guys should just ignore that joke. And he had the best set. Like, nigga, come on now. Like, that's what I feel like is like you're playing dumb a little bit because now you know what that was. Yes, you talked to Steven Jackson for a reason. That's not like so let's be real about
yes,
it.
he identified that yes, that's what I'm trying to say. He did. I did. That is what the sticking point for me is when the backlash of what Tony said on a Kevin Hart production was made a big deal. It's exactly what Kevin Hart said. It's because it was on a Kevin Hart's production. You've seen Tony, whatever that nigga's name on his own production, and it don't get no traction. That nigga gets no buzz. We don't know nothing about that. Well, I don't know. I ain't
Because you're
never
a
seen.
black man that lives in Florida that has no, you wouldn't want to watch that type of stuff. But a majority of this country are white men who love that shit. They love a white guy saying the N word. They love a white guy making jokes about race, about slavery. They love a white man making jokes and putting these black guys in their place because that's what they. So majority of this country, like yeah, that's why Kill Tony's picking up the steam. He's front row at WrestleMania, getting the camera on him. Like he's the guy who's doing the whole WrestleMania roast and having Jay Uso on stage. Like he's getting up so don't minimize what he's been doing
Well,
because he's been
that's what
doing
I'm saying.
big
Like,
shit.
but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't want to cast aspersions on Jay Uso, who cosplay in a black culture as well, by being identified and being on a Kill Tony roast when I don't know if that motherfucker know. Like, that's what the extension that we are lending ourselves to because me and you play
Jay
our
Uso, I give a little grace to. Kevin Hart, I think this is what you do. You know, this is what you do. You know, and I think that definitely now you know if you didn't know. So I think you should act like, yeah, you know what, I'm picking up a little bit of what's going on over there, and I don't really fuck with it, or I do. Because here's the thing, his whole thing is to be non-political. His whole thing is he can in real life care about black causes and be anti, but publicly, what he's saying is publicly, no, I'm going to make my bread. Publicly, I'm going to play the middle ground. And publicly, I'm not going to take a stand against that because if it's funny, it's funny. And that comes before me taking any type of stand against any type of racist comic. That's what I'm here. I don't expect Kevin Hart to ever say anything about a racist comic. Ever. Without making a joke about it, like, oh, that was crazy, right? You know, no, he's never going to be like a serious, like, dude, I don't fuck with that shit. You know, so hey, it
That's
is what it is.
I think that's very much unfair to say because when
And
it's the
maybe
height of the at the height of George Floyd's fucking murder, he's front row at the funeral,
no, no,
being political and making a
no.
political stance.
That's
Got you.
not
I
what.
got it.
That's not that. That was a
I hear you.
moment in time that everybody was made. That's safe.
Everybody wasn't
Every.
there.
Listen,
Everybody
I'm
wasn't
not saying
agreeing with it.
everybody was there, but I know that's way safer than calling out Tony today. Put it that way. Just showing up and because listen, it was worldwide. People were protesting the George Floyd killing. This is not even like just an American thing. So I trust me, he knows where he knows where the wind is blowing. I don't want to, but props to him for doing that. I'm not
I
trying to
mean,
knock him,
you put him in the Stephen A
but
category. He knows where the wind is blowing.
I
He he
maybe a
play
little bit,
he blows with the wind, the political thing. Like, and I don't
not to
like
that
putting our
degree,
black men who make
not
money in those
not
spaces. I don't like doing that.
I know you
I
don't.
don't like doing that.
I love doing that because I see for what it is. I'm not saying he's on the level of Stephen A. Smith though. I just think that there are certain choices he'll make because of the business. And he won't come on Burgers Club and say, listen, I've looked into Tony Hinchcliffe now and I see what he's about and I don't fuck with that and I see what he was doing on that stage. He's gonna look at it as and try to he's gonna minimize the impact of that joke and put the light on everything else. You know, and
Would you? What?
that's what
Okay,
he's
so
doing he's doing PR for Tony Hinchcliffe now. He's become the PR
I
for that guy.
no, that's okay. I'm off that, bro. Now you gonna call this nigga a fucking shovel mover for Tony? Because the biggest
When
name
you
in hip hop,
say
the
ignore the
biggest
joke
name
and
in
look at the rest and talk about the set, that's PR.
I'm saying ignore the joke because I'm only highlighting the negativity like y'all motherfuckers. Y'all not saying the rest of the roast was good. Y'all
No,
not
we
saying
said
how
talk
good a
about his
production
set.
was.
He said he had the
Yeah,
best set. That's PR.
I,
I'm sorry. Like we're not gonna sit here and
I,
act like that's not PR. It is. I'm not saying he's a shovel mover. I'm not saying none of that. I'm saying that he did
he
PR for Tony in this interview. Sorry, he did.
he did not. So did he do PR for Tony did he do PR for Tony behind the scenes when he said, "Hey, he killed the last time, bring him on"? He just said that he kills it. I don't know what I like. I'm not hearing PR because he was like, "We're talking about the joke. Are we talking about the totality of the set?" It's like
Dude, this
almost
whole
talking.
conversation is PR, bro. Like, have you not? Do you know how the industry works? He wouldn't be here if it wasn't for PR. Let's put it that way.
First of all, he's on there for the PR of himself because we also talked about that his company is has been in the news and he had downsized and everything like that. And Kevin Hart is on the
That too.
PR for Kevin Hart he has a Netflix thing. Everything is succinct. He has the roast, he has a show, and then he has the backlash. He has all of this all encompassing.
He's
He
doing
didn't
great
run.
work, man.
He came to it. He's talking about it. He ain't running from it. The joke was insensitive. I wouldn't have said it. And if Tony has to deal with the consequences of the joke, my nigga, I'm not built on that because run the rest of the interview. He said if George Floyd brother ran down on Tony Hinchcliffe, whatever the fuck that nigga's name is, and smacked the fuck out of him because of the joke, Kevin Hart would throw his hands up the same way and say, I ain't smack you. Like, so he's being all the way across the board, like, take accountability for what I feel like a lot of people are asking him to take accountability for things that we have that we set upon him. For you to say I don't fuck with Tony means to say that everything he said about him in the past would have been he would have to retract from. If he thought he was funny then,
That's
he
if
then
he
has to
didn't
say,
know what he's
he's
doing
funny
down in
now.
Austin. That's
That's
only if.
correct.
But what I'm seeing is I don't know if he didn't know what because he's saying he didn't really know. He didn't like know what he does and all that. That's what he just said, right? That's I'm taking his word for it. But deep in my spirit, I think you know who Tony is and what he does. You're in comedy. You should know who the players are. Maybe he doesn't.
But
But
that's the
deep
case.
down in my
Nikki
spirit,
Glazer's one of them too. Nikki Glazer, one
she
of
didn't
them
have.
too,
But
though.
Nikki Glazer, she's not on Tony Kill Tony. She's not. I've never seen her on that stage. Maybe
No,
she is.
Nikki
I've never.
Glazer is on the same wavelength of being someone who is on the line of being controversial,
I've
saying
never
things.
seen her do a set where I was like, oh man, she's racist. Never, never seen that from her. I've seen it from.
I got that from Chelsea Handler. I've got that from Chelsea Handler on her show previously,
I haven't.
like back in the G, like when she had her own show back on the on I
I
think it
haven't
was
seen
E.
her be racist personally, like flat out racist. I personally
I
haven't.
mean, you don't have to be flat out racist to have it. That's the point of the
But
undertones
this is what I'm
of
talking
comedy.
about. This is not. I listen. You can make a racial joke, and I can be like, okay, cool. I'm not offended. Like I'm not opposed black people being the butt of a joke here. I want you to understand that. I know the motivations behind these people in Austin. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm getting at. And what he does, Tony Hinchcliffe. And maybe y'all figure out in the future. Because typically what I say, it takes a while for people to catch up. And eventually they're like, oh yeah, that nigga was fucked up, you know? But I'm off this shit. I think he did PR for Tony and himself, primarily himself. But hey, at the end of the
Yeah, he
day,
had to
I'm
get
not blaming him.
the
I'm
PR
not.
was for itself because he's the one. Nobody's talking about no. That's the thing. Nobody's on Tony's ass. Nobody's bringing the pitchforks and the fire torch and the tiki torches to Tony. Nobody's
Tony hasn't
blowing
really
up.
said much since it, so he's been
He don't
quiet.
have to say much.
And
He said the
and we
joke.
wouldn't be talking about this either if he didn't come in here and talk about it. So let's be real. Like we weren't talking about Kevin Hart the entire time. Me and you, we were not talking about Kevin Hart until he brought it up and came here and talked about it. And I know people were saying that he laughed about the joke and all, but you move on. He's here to do his PR. He's here to say, why are we not talking about Tony's set? Well, you know why. Let's stop playing dumb. Like you know why. So if you and that's where I'm getting at. Like when you know why people are not talking about the full set, and then you try to act like it's all just comedy. It does look like you are caping for it. No matter how you spend it, it does look like you're caping for it. But hey, it is what it is. He makes his own choice. He's his own man.
Um, yeah, I just when we cast those aspersions, you know, I just don't take those leaps
Of
because he
course.
makes a certain amount of money because he's the because even if he's detached don't mean he not black and it don't affect him and he said that it wasn't a fucked up joke. Like I don't get why his what he has in his bank account allows him to not be attached because if
I
that's the
think
case
that what
I
you
don't
have
see
in your
him
bank
going.
account does. Like as you get more and more, I think it's a good point. America's not a real democracy, bro. It's an oligarchy. The more money you have in your bank account is the more money. That's a reason why you don't need to say anything about people who are disenfranchised. It's the more detached you can get from your cultures. It's more detached you can say, you know what, everybody's, let's just get over it. It's the less consequence the more you can kind of blur the lines of like, yeah, guys, it's not really about race. Oh, there's no racism. You get more into that mindset as you get more money. That's what I think. Because it's easier for you to say, well, yeah, I mingle with people who are white, black, Spanish, whatever it may, and I don't see racism. But because you're so insular, also you have a lot of money, so they know that you get different treatment from people. Period. So when Lil Wayne goes out there and says there's no such thing as racism, he's never seen racism, which in his past music we've seen him talk about racism, but he has money now and he's like, oh, there's no such thing as racism. It's partially because you're now the biggest superstar in the world rapping, and people are going to treat you a lot differently, you know. So it doesn't take away from the fact that people who have less and do less, who earn less, get treated very differently in this country, and especially if you have darker skin tone, So on his level, he doesn't have to give a fuck about a racist joke. He can make excuses for it. But the fact that this joke does impact people and bring up the trauma of George Floyd's passing is something that is the majority criticism. I don't think that's something you should just say, hey, no, no, talk about Tony's set. He had the best set. I don't think that's what you should be saying because I think that's ignoring what's going on here. I think there's a forget about insensitivity. There's a detachment of what people are talking about in reality and what he wants to talk about and make the
To
focus on
bring
because he's a
to be,
businessman.
I mean, be honest, to bring to re and to re Chandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, Philando Castile, like we don't forget those names. We don't forget those names. George Floyd,
Eric
Trayvon
Garner, Trayvon
Martin,
Martin,
Mike Brown,
Mike Brown.
Eric. Like we don't forget those names. So to your point, when that name is invoked, it's not supposed to be like a fly by the egg. But I'm asking from a POV of reigniting that conversation as to why important that name is. I'm asking generally, what would that benefit other than cause? You are the one who's just less division, less this, less. What would that do but to right down the middle be like, we right back where we at 6 years ago?
Listen, we haven't gone anywhere. Listen, do I want
I'm with
in
that.
my hearts of hearts to
I'm with that.
be in a post-racial society? Absolutely. I do say, hey man, we're all shades of wheat. We really all bleed red. Like I truly in my heart to heart believe that on a spiritual level, bro. And you know that we talk, but in a 3D world we live in today, we are literally in a world where we just talked about the Voting Rights Act being repealed and now them redistricting black cities to have less Democratic votes and like come on, like the repealing affirmative. The first thing they did was take away affirmative action and DEI, hiring. So now and then they start firing every black person in the Department of Justice. Like I'm actively seeing the racism in this country, and I'm not going to ignore it. So when then now we can make jokes about black people not having, and make jokes about black people dying in the streets. It it makes it to me. It's not. It doesn't help this country move forward. It actually pushes us backwards. And I think that's where he's very insulated because of his money, and that's something you got to bring up. I'm sorry, you are. You're a black man that's insulated because of your money. You're not going to exist where these things are going to affect you. Because you are beyond that to some point. Don't get me wrong, you still gotta make your deal with Netflix, you still gotta talk to the CEOs and all that stuff, you gotta make your shake your hands, all that stuff. But when it comes to, damn man, I'm in a town where I can't afford um, medical supplies and stuff like that, but I can't get Medicaid or Medicare because they took it away, or I can't pay for my groceries or my rent because now I got to pay full price for my groceries, which are now increased because of inflation. Meanwhile, there's police brutality in the street, and oh man, now my cousin he just got locked up for something that wasn't his, or he just got beat down by the cops in the city. These stories that we don't hear about. And you're dealing with that. He's so detached from that. So when that joke happens, it doesn't really land on him. He's like, forget about it. So I do bring. I'm not trying to cast aspersions to just malign the guy. I'm saying, yo, it's a fact. You are detached. So yeah, you coming and preaching to us that why aren't you talking about Tony Hinchcliffe's set and he had the best set out of everybody is a disconnect to why people are upset about this. And granted, he wouldn't have made the joke. He gets that the joke is insensitive, but you don't get why it's blown up this way because you are coming here now making excuses and saying that, well, I didn't say he did. Leave me out of it, and he had a great set. Talk about the comedy. That to me is a complete. And he could come here and just say, listen, man, the George Floyd death was tragic, and I do think we should remind ourselves that yes, we do have to still fight police brutality in this country. I'm completely aware of that. I own that, and I think that um, regardless of Tony Hinchcliffe jokes, we are still in the process of making that better in America, and I don't want that to be lost in the conversation. That's not what he's doing. He's coming here and he's saying, "Please, guys, get over it. It wasn't me."
Or please, guys, direct your attention and your vitriol and your and
That's exactly what I just
your
said to Tony, right?
look. Well, the response. I, yes, I think me and you, we have different. Me and you on different days have a conversation about who responsibility is what at what time. Because I remember when we was talking about Meg Thee Stallion and Lexi Brown, and I was like, it's Meg Thee Stallion's responsibility to calm the death threats and the doxing of another black woman. If you've been a black woman and you experience what this feels like, and you're like, not really.
No,
You know what
I
I'm
now
saying?
that
You know, but
conversation, I was just asking questions because I wasn't sure on either side. I was just like, all right, what if she did cheat with that guy? Like, what if she was the one? I'm just trying to open, like, just have a conversation.
But
I wasn't
that's
trying
kind of what
to.
I'm doing with Kevin is like I don't know if he's not I don't know what Spank go through. I don't know if he has I don't know if Kevin cousin is one of those people that we just got locked up or pulled over by the cops and Kev's the phone call because clearly Kev's the one with money or with influence. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't want to in a way like I looked at like I talked about Sauce, right? You look at Sauce and the swag and the diamond teeth and the ooey and the Maybach and the swangs and the drip and all that. And then when he mentions something like that, you take away like, oh, that nigga's he's still one of me. He still is impacted by shit that I go through on my broke
But you
ass
just
life.
said
You know
that
what
he
I'm saying?
said something that made you feel like he's one of me. I don't get that from Kevin Hart. I get that when I hear Cat Williams talk. I get that even with Dave Chappelle, even though I think he's a little bit now get going a little bit too far. He's kind of gone. He's in a different realm. But I get a little bit of like that. I'm still a black man. I don't ever get that with Kevin Hart, bro. And I'm not saying he has to do it. You choose whatever you want to do. I will just say that. Oh, this is PR. I'm going to see it for what it is. I'm going to see through him. I'm going to see through this interview. This is PR, and it's not him saying taking accountability for the whole thing. It's him saying, not me. Actually, he did a really good set, Tony. Oh, I don't know. I'm not
So
sure
you
what people
just
are
said
doing.
so you just said
I'm
it's
not
not him.
sure. I'm not.
You just said
I'm,
it's not him taking accountability for the whole thing, and that's what I think that's what you just said that, and I don't know if you misspoke or if that's what you're saying, but
no,
you said it's
what I
not him
mean,
taking.
here's the thing. I do think there is some level of accountability he should take because it was his roast and his production, but I'm not saying he should take the brunt of it. I'm just saying that also I would like to hear some level of nigga. I didn't fuck with that shit that Tony did, and I had him on there because I thought he was funny. But that was one of the parts of the roast that I don't co-sign. But what he did say
Oh
is it's supposed to be that way. We're supposed to go too far. That's what he said. Which is not what
yes, I think he's
he
yes, I think to your point, he's compartmentalizing because he's like he was arguing with Charlamagne. Like, no, I don't have to admit that I'm like I. Oh, this is tough. Like, you have to defend your blackness. I have to defend I'm a brother, and that's what he was
every
telling the
now and
Charlamagne.
then,
Like.
if you're really like a part, if you really feel something for the black causes, I do think it will leak out in how you speak about it. I just think you won't even be like a conscious decision. The reason why he's saying I don't gotta do this is because it's not an innate thing for him to do. It's not like, man, I gotta speak out about this. Now the George Floyd thing and showing up for the funeral, it's because it was such a big deal. Do I think he's doing that for everybody who's pulled over by the cops and passed away at the hands of police brutality? No, I think that, and I'm not. I still think it's good. I think that thank you for being there. Like I want to give him credit for that. Like yes, but at the same time, he's not the guy who I go to where I'm like, man, he's gonna give me some real conscious shit about what it means to elevate as a black man in America. Maybe he does. I think he does have wisdom for sure, but I don't think. I do think a lot of what he does is whitewashing, and ignoring the race stuff because it's easier for him, and that's why he gets the opportunities because he's not gonna be the controversial guy. He's not gonna be the guy that says, "Listen, man, I didn't get this role because I was black." You know, I didn't. He's not gonna be the guy like, "Yo, I wouldn't do this thing in the script because I wasn't with it." He's not the guy who's gonna say, "Man, I didn't want to have Tony on my roast because I see what they're doing in Austin." No, he wants to say, "No, I want the funniest people who killed last time," and he has a right to do that. I want to be clear, like. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's a demarcation that I see, and I see through it. I'm not going to sit here and just be like, you know what? This is all about you guys picking on Kevin Hart. We need to stop that. Yeah, it wasn't his fault. He didn't say it. That's not who I am. I'm sorry. I see through what this is, and I gotta keep it a buck.
Yeah, I just, when we as black men, talk about another black man, I do feel like we are, as we talk about in this racist culture and racist nature, and within fighting, I think the calling out, as what you say, is not not necessary. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that, and we have to figure out what's innocuous and not, or not, between
I
us. And I
I think
think
that
that is
what
the
shouldn't get
big piece.
lost. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish what you're saying about that.
Go, no, no, go ahead, go ahead, because you might be leading me that path. Yeah.
I was just gonna say I don't want this to get lost that in this whole conversation, now that people are making jokes about George Floyd's passing and saying he's in hell, that a police officer killed a man with complete impunity. At first he did not get arrested, took like months, and that's this country, and this really happens. This is happening still to this day. People are getting abused by the police, and I think that now that we're making jokes about it, it's easy to bypass that. And somebody with the mouthpiece and the power of a Kevin Hart could use this as an example to highlight those things if he chose to. But I don't think he's the type of guy to do that because of his connections, because he's at a certain status, and because he plays it safe when it comes to these things. As a matter of fact, he's going to say Tony Hinchcliffe had a great set, regardless of the fact that this joke bothered a lot of people of the culture. He doesn't. I don't think he sees it the same way that we do. I do not think he does. I think he sees it as it was meant to be offensive, and it was. Don't watch it if you don't like it. And we can, and that's his fair point. But truth of the matter is, don't let these people who make jokes about these things remove us from the fact that these things are still happening in America. And um, there's been attack on black civil rights in this country and under
Yeah.
this Trump regime. And there are people that who will make jokes at this because they think it's funny that this is happening, and they're on the side of continuing to take away the humanity of black people. They're on the side of stripping away more rights of black people. So I think that we should all be aware of that as well as we laugh at a joke or two. And you guys make your moral decisions, and I'll make mine.
Yeah, I've never seen this nigga before, realistically. I'm looking at this nigga wiki, and of course he did the digital roast of Snoop Dogg in 2016. Why wouldn't he have? You know what I'm saying? Why? As we talk about another black person who loves to do a lot of cleaning themselves up for people, Shout out to my guy Calvin, you know. Um, all right, so he has the joint in 2016. I'm gonna have to look at, and okay, 2021 he was dropped by his agency and lost multiple endorsements after using anti-Asian slurs against an opening Chinese American comedian during his set. In 2024, the Donald Trump campaign invited him to perform at the Madison Square Garden. during which he made a widely publicized joke about Puerto Rico. Um, yeah, he's from Youngstown, Ohio. Uh,
And you
Italian
want me to believe
descent,
that Kevin doesn't know any of this?
Colombian, South Carolina. I mean, during 2016. Uh, yeah. I mean, because that's what I'm looking at when he got. He's had a this podcast since 2013, which I'm not familiar with. I mean, to your point, yes, and I guess yes, he could be. No, he can't be because I'm telling you right now, it's.
This is what Kevin does.
I mean, I hear you. This is what Kevin does, but to your point, like the guy opened for Jeff Ross, so if we talking about Jeff Ross being the quote unquote roast master, and Jeff Ross can be like the buffer as like, hey Kevin, yeah, he's a little out there, but he's a good guy. He did, like
Yeah, it
could
could
it be
happen.
that he
And he
checked
got
out the
it.
center? I don't
At
know.
this
Like you know
point,
what I mean? I don't know.
at
Yeah,
this point, he did the show. It's already done.
he
Like
did.
it's
Yeah,
closed.
he yeah.
At this
So I
point,
mean,
Kevin
actually, do
seems to
you know?
still
Yes, he
like the
knows.
guy. So he knows, like
He
and that's the
knows.
thing. Like if I was a comedian at his level, I probably wouldn't be working with him. But that's just me.
Yeah, the Austin, Texas thing I'm looking at right now, and it's Joe Rogan, him, and the guy Brian Redband. I guess he's a comedian too, or was one, or a producer or something like that. So they all. What's crazy is, guess who his agency was?
The Ariel Hawani too. Ariel Hawani, bro. Nick
This nigga
Khan,
said, no, Ari Emanuel, not Ariel
Ariel
one.
Emanuel. Oh
Ariel.
my God, Ariel Emanuel. Yeah.
Yeah, his agency was William Morrison Endeavor. That was his agency, and they dropped him. But to your point, that company, as to who
Yeah.
they're aligned with and who they support and everything like that, you know, of, of course we're gonna double back. Of course we're gonna double back. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? All
Oh,
right, man. We got anything else for today?
you tell
These
me.
niggas These niggas is sour pussies on the show. We gotta nah, man. We gotta find tomorrow. We gotta talk sports or something tomorrow, bro. We got much. Nah, fuck. Not even the sports I got. We gotta talk real sports, nigga. We can't talk. We can't talk about facial recognition and data breaches. And we can't talk about civil rights acts being violated. Nigga, let's talk
But
Jets and Cowboys tomorrow.
we're here to enlighten and educate, bro. Let's keep it a buck, man. Now let people know. Let people know because they don't know. A lot of people don't know what's going on. You gotta feed the people the knowledge, brother. You have a
Bro,
responsibility on this podcast. On Friday we
I
can talk
don't know,
sports.
no.
Friday we can talk all the sports in the world.
I'm not Kevin Hart. I don't own the responsibility. Nobody. I want the Kevin Hart pop out. I don't know who Tony Hinchcliffe is, nigga. Never heard of him, never saw him. I just got the statistics from Netflix and he was good. I just bought him back.
Man, yo, that's funny. Uh,
Oh man. Uh um yeah, but we can tease it for tomorrow just so everybody know. A Washington National Director of Community Relations admits on a hidden camera that they use digital surveillance and secret facial recognition to track their fans and what they search online via their cookies.
okay. Well, next time on Everything Is. With that being said, I'm your
Bro,
host, Chidi Bang. That's Chris the
after
Most
me, my
High.
nigga. Clear your cookies, dumbasses, please.
We're
They
gonna talk about
searching
that.
everything.
I'm Chidi Bang. Ask Kristen Most High. All is love. Keep love first in your conversations, in your heart, and your spirit. And everything is everything. We'll tune back in, yes, tomorrow. We'll talk about clearing your cookies so they don't spy on your ass. Peace out, dog.
Why you go to a baseball game? Bro, first of all, I'm taking my ass to this boring ass, long ass, expensive ass game. And the thing you gonna do is violate me when I get to the gate and look at my porn searches? Are you kidding me?